Should I even be doing this? Is this really for me? Hey guys, Tierra here with Doc Girl Fitness, and this week's video is all about how to decide if pursuing medical subspecialty training is right for you. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tierra, a first-year pediatric gastroenterology fellow who makes videos about medicine, lifestyle, and fitness. If this sounds like something you may enjoy, please make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. I'm so happy to be back and hanging out with you guys again. Thank you so much for your patience as I finished up with residency training and moved forward with getting settled in a new place halfway across the country and starting in my new role as a fellow physician. Now that I'm in this new role, it seemed like the perfect time to chat about some of the things you should really be considering if you're thinking of going into fellowship training. This is a really big and a really difficult decision to make because it's the first time in your medical training that you're making an optional decision. As you all know, to get into medicine, you first have to go to college, then you have to go into medical school. After medical school, you are obligated to do residency to do pretty much anything within the medical field. And then after residency, you can typically do some level of generalized practice in whatever field you're in. Doing a fellowship is getting an additional level of training that's more specialized within a certain field. And it's an optional level of training. Residency is so difficult. And it's in those really hard moments when you're really sick of staying up late, working these long, hard hours at a much lower pay than you would as an attending physician, that you really start to think to yourself, should I even be doing this? Is this really for me? And if this is a decision that you're really grappling with, you've come to the right place because that's what this week's video is all about. My hope is that by the end of this video, you have some tools in your toolbox to help make that decision moving forward. There's 3 things that I really think you need to consider when trying to make this decision. And the first thing is, how is this going to help my career? Is doing a fellowship actually going to help you in your career? Is it going to take you to the next level to allow you to do some additional subspecialized work? Is it going to provide you with that expert knowledge to help you be an expert in a certain field? And is that something that you're really looking for? You're going to have to do some soul searching and really think about this because there are a lot of things that a generalist provider can do and a lot of things that a generalist provider can even focus in within their practice without doing fellowship training. But if you want to be an expert in a specialized field, you may have to do a fellowship to be able to do that. And that goes perfectly in alignment with my next point. Is this something that you genuinely have to have additional training to receive? This is a very important point because there are parts of medicine that you just cannot do unless you have an additional level of training that is associated with a certification. A prime example of this could be gastroenterology or pediatric gastroenterology. Typically, there are people who go into either pediatrics or internal medicine and do a residency in those fields. And even within their general practice, if you decide to go and be an attending after doing those generalized residency programs, you can center your practice around some of the principles of gastroenterology. You can see patients with a history of long-standing constipation and try and manage that as a generalist. But if you want to be an expert in the field to make some of these more nuanced diagnoses, then you have to have a certification and a level of training associated with that in gastroenterology. And even within the field of gastroenterology, there's additional trainings that you could be required to get. If you need to be an expert to do that and you can't get that in residency, then you're going to have to do a fellowship. The last point is really important to consider now in this phase of life, and it really coincides with the fact that this is an optional time in your training. Is this the right time for you? Are you in the prime of your career and really eager and ready to move forward with fellowship training? Are you in the right position in other aspects of your life? Is everything okay from a familial perspective? This is one of the first times you can really start to consider your family and weigh in whether a spouse, children, in-laws, parents, anybody around you can handle that additional level of training where you're going to be working these long hours and going to be preoccupied with becoming an expert in a certain field. If the people around you support that and have the ability and the bandwidth to be able to support you through another level of training, then by all means, go for it. But if for whatever reason, from a familial perspective or even a health perspective, you don't have that ability to move forward, then maybe you should consider either moving forward with general practice or just taking a step back. Something else you can consider is using this time after you finish your residency as an opportunity to do research. Just like there are some situations in going from undergrad to medical school or medical school to residency where you need something to support your application and give you the opportunity to get exposure to research skills, etc. The same thing goes for residency into fellowship. They're competitive, and sometimes if you are in a position where you maybe want a little bit of time to be more laid back and you want an opportunity to really make your resume more robust, you can consider taking time, doing a research year, getting acclimated, recovering after residency, and then moving forward with a fellowship. Regardless, timing is something very important to consider. I started off a little bit before talking about gastroenterology, but I can give you a more personalized example with myself and how I use these 3 tools amongst a lot of other things in my toolbox to make the decision to move forward with fellowship. As a bit of a background, I've always been very interested in the GI system. Unlike most people, I actually went into medicine knowing the system as opposed to knowing the specialty. Not many people go into medicine from this approach, but I took a very impactful nutrition course when I was in college, during which time we really went through the nuances of histology, anatomy, and even the biochemistry associated with different parts of the GI tract, and I fell in love with the GI system. And I knew moving forward that whatever I did, I wanted to focus in that. So when I got to medical school, I loved all these different specialties, and every single specialty I thought to myself, how can I incorporate this into a focus within the GI system? By the time I decided that the pediatric specialty was where I felt my heart leading me, I always knew going into a pediatric residency that I would want to subspecialize in pediatric gastroenterology. So much so that I even talked about this during my pediatric residency personal statement. Moving into the next point, we talked a lot about this earlier. If you're going to be an expert in a field, you're going to need expert training. And there are a lot of general pediatricians who center their practice around some gastroenterology conditions, those things being nutrition and constipation, amongst other things. They are heavily involved in collating the initial workup for these conditions. But ultimately, if you want to be that proceduralist and the provider who is making those expert level diagnoses, you have to move forward with fellowship training. And that's something that really helped once again move me forward in making this decision. Finally, as it relates to timing, I feel like I personally was so invested in gastroenterology that I was going to always try and make the timing work no matter what. But as I do have a spouse now, and I do have family that I would be moving really far away from if I potentially did do training, it was important to at least discuss this decision with them, as it is a very large decision, something that's going to affect my life for the next 3 years at a minimum, but overall will affect my life long term and affect where I live, how I practice, what my practice looks like, and so on. So I did consider these people, and I did talk with them extensively about what their thoughts were and how they felt they could support me through this process. And I am so incredibly blessed to have a team of people who are just over the moon excited for me and excited that I'm finally getting an opportunity to pursue what I've always been interested in. So it was kind of a no-brainer from my family's perspective. They were always willing to support me in moving forward with applying for fellowship. These 3 things can very much so help support your decision, and they're things that you really need to consider moving forward before you apply. That's all I have for today, though. I really hope it was helpful, and I really hope these are things that you do consider moving forward before application season rolls around for fellowship next year. For those of you who applied for fellowship this past cycle and just smashed into fellowship last week, congratulations. I'm so excited for you, and I can't wait to be colleagues amongst you over the next several years. For all of the new fellows and anybody else interested in medical training, if you are interested in knowing what the life of a first-year pediatric gastroenterology fellow is like, please let me know in the comments section below, and I would love to make a video highlighting those things. Also, please let me know in the comments section below if there's anything else that you think is really important to consider. I'm sure that many of you out there have thought about these things as well, and I would love to hear some of the things that were really on your mind as you were trying to make this really big life decision. In the meantime, if you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or you just want to chat, make sure to let me know in the comment section below. And if you like videos about medicine, lifestyle, and fitness, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.